Alright, I'm going to call a Policies and Priorities Committee meeting for Tuesday, October 15th to order. Approval of the agenda. Councilor Wojcicki. Seconder. Councilor Kirby. All in favor? Adoption of the minutes, September 9th, 2019 Policy and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Recommendation. Councilor Norbury.
That the Monday, September 9th, 2019 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councilor Wojcicki. All in favor? Any business arising from the minutes? Petitions and delegations, none. Consent agenda, recommendation. Councilor Norbury?
That all the items in the Tuesday, October 15th, 2019 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting consent agenda be adopted for information.
Seconder. Councilor Kirby. All in favor? Carried. Reports. UBC Minister Meeting Recap. A report from the Chief Administrator Office dated October 15th, 2019, providing a UBC Minister Meeting Recap. Recommendation. Councilor Norbury?
That council received this report for discussion.
Seconder. Councilor Wojcicki. All in favor? Anybody like to start off? Councilor Norbury?
Yeah, I'll start us off by saying, thank you to staff for the information they brought back. It's nice to see everything laid out so that we can refer back to it. But I felt we had some real successful meetings going down there to UBCM. I'm really interested, as this is my first UBCM, really interested to see how it all comes out.
Anybody else? Yeah, I agree with you, Councilor Norbury. I've attended two. I think Councilor Kirby, this is fifth. So a lot of the things, like the ministers will always say they're going to get back, and I think that's what we always hope for. I think the biggest thing is to follow up on some of our notes that we've taken too with the ministers, and I know Mayor Bertrand will be on some of the ones that they said they were going to send us information and some of the packages that they didn't have in front of them. So I think it's going to follow up with them. But I thought it was great. There was some good information. There's a few things that's coming up later on the agenda that came from the UBCM. So I think it was great. Well attended by council as well. Special minister meetings. And thank Mr. Wall for being there and producing a video to share with the ministers and stuff. So tourism minister was quite happy to make sure that we had our video there. So good on you. Okay. Anything else? Councilor Kirby?
Thank you. Yeah, no, the UBCM was great this year. We attended a lot of meetings. We met with a lot of ministers, and I'm just, in the future, if it wouldn't be, a better use of time is if we tried to make ministers meetings beforehand and then use UBCM as a follow-up to those meetings, because the agenda packet, the agenda for when we're going down there, you miss a lot of the actual conference, resolutions. There's things that we miss as council that we want to sit in, but you can't miss your ministers meeting. So I don't know, that might be something to think about in the future, if that can, doesn't have to be all of us going down for ministers meeting, but go in with our asks and go in with our, and have that meeting on our own, and then use
UBCM for the follow-up.
as the follow-up.
Good idea. Anybody else? Councilor
Thank you,
Wojcicki?
Councillor Peppa, Acting Mayor. The trade show for us was a very big hit, big success, and I want to say a big thank you to our staff and Mr. Queen and Miss Olson for being there for the whole time for the 2 days and representing us very well. Did a good job and got a lot of use out of it, so I think maybe we should relook at doing that again for some, maybe even FCM.
Councilor Lehman?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Tricalca. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much we actually get back from all the ministers that we met and the deputies, and see how much of it was actually truth and how much of it was smoke. So that'll be interesting. And Councillor Wojcicki was right. Every time I went by the tourism booth, there was a lot of people there. I never went, it was always busy. It was never like, without people actually standing there or talking to them. So it was well worth it, I think.
Yeah, so just on it, I mean that's hats off to council for making that initiative and passing that recommendation to have that trade show booth 10 UBCM. I think, you know, Mayor Bertrand isn't here, but I know some of the comments he made in regards to some of the stuff we attend for coffee in the mornings or whatever, and all the comments he was hearing from the other mayors and other communities and how well it was received there for the two girls that were down there. So I think it was great, and thanks to staff for following through and making sure it was all down there. And I know Mr. Wall delivered all the materials and stuff, so he drove down there to make sure it was there. So thanks for that. Okay, anything else? Discussion items. Let's talk. New date to be confirmed. I think that was Mayor Bertrand. There was a bit of a conflict in scheduling. I just know with what's going on in his personal life right now, I'm wondering if we should just maybe hold that off. Maybe Mr. Wall, you could send just an email out maybe, and just see if he can confirm something. I haven't touched base with him for the last day, I guess. Just see where he stands there. Maybe we need to push it into November or something like that. And give to staff time to have. That's all right.
So you guys are comfortable with deciding the date probably over a doodle poll?
Mm-hmm. Is that good with council?
Yep.
8.2, the bylaw on peace officers, requested by Council Kirkell, could discuss the possibility of upgrading bylaw officers to peace officers. So this is one thing that I was at the trade show at the UBCM. This is one table I stopped at, but one booth I stopped at. And I talked to Mr. Wall previously, and I never followed up myself, and you know I didn't leave it with him with anything to do on it. But I actually didn't think peace officers were allowed within BC. So when I actually stopped this table and realized that it is something you can do in BC, it's something I wanted to bring back to council and just see what the insight from council is. There was a sheet provided from their thing that was laid on wickets from myself. I'm just wondering if council would support the report coming back from staff, just to see the legals of it, the cost of it, and more of that information. And the reason I'm looking at, you know, maybe having a report and doing this is they can do traffic, so moving traffic. So my understanding from the gentleman I talked to is four-way stops, speeding, stuff like that. I just think it's worth staff coming back with a report to give us more insight into it. Councilor Norberg.
Yeah, thanks. Acting worship for Calca. I definitely would support seeing a report, because I on the surface, I can see the pros and the cons, and it'd be good to get a little more information regarding it, you know, because my thought is the CSO program is to sort of fill a gap in the services, you know, that they can provide. So my thoughts would be, are these services in need, or is there a gap in our community policing? Where the overlapping duties would be, you know, there's a few things that I'd like a little more information on, because it does look like a good thing, but it looks like it might be a doubling up of services. So, yeah, as well as, you know, costs associated with, you know, the per year, as well as initial training and implementation, stuff like that.
And I see your point in regards to the overlapping part. But I know, I mean, probably brought up next week, but I mean, there was some concerned residents in regards to speeding, and I don't think, you know, our local detachment can't be everywhere all the time. I think it's just another tool for the toolbox. If the report gives us good information. Councilor Mazinski.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Kauka. I think even with the current bylaw, there is a lot of overlap and they work together. And this is another tool that we could definitely look into and see if a peace officer is a better fit for our community. And as long as the citizens don't think we're doing it as a cash grab, you know, this would hopefully benefit us in the future if that comes that way and it's allowed, as that money can come back to our community. But if there are tickets issued, but as for now, I think we should definitely look at a report and see how it comes about and what the pros and cons are.
Mr. Wall, what do we need to move it forward for report?
Just a notice of motion, it can come from a vote from here, or if you want to craft a notice of motion with me, we can get it on the next agenda, probably November agenda.
Okay, good. Councilor Kirby?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Did anybody speak, or did you speak with the RCMP? Is this something that they would be interested in, or has it been a concern and never brought up before this?
Yeah, so I never talked to the RCMP. I mean, it was just something, when I seen the booth there, I actually stopped and talked to him, 'cause like I said, I didn't realize you could do it in the province of BC, because you don't really see a lot of them around, but lots of them are down south, Langley and stuff like that. And the thing with these guys, the gentleman I talked to, they used to be able to, when they did speed control, when they wrote the tickets, the money used to come to the districts or the municipality. The government's now taking that, because I think the funding was quite high, so in some bigger centers, obviously. But they still do warning tickets. But anything is, my understanding from the gentleman I talked to was, so four-way stops and all that stuff, the money would come to the district if a ticket is written and not a warning. But I think, I think we can get more information. I didn't spend a whole bunch of time with these folks. I did a brief overview with them and figured this is something to bring back to council and get a staff report. I haven't talked to the RCMP. Maybe Councilman Jinsey mentioned it. They already work with our bylaw. I mean, I know in previous it was other staff, and I know before I was on council, you seen them work together. If a bylaw was unsure about going to a residence, the RCMP would attend with them. So I think it helps them too. I think it gives again another toolbox for them for assistance as well. So I think it's do a notice of motion for this council meeting or the council meeting in November. Council's good with that. Councilor Kirby?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be voting against the report. I just think that our community right now is served well with with the bylaw and our RCMP. I don't think our population is enough, but that's just my stance on it.
So I'll bring that through as notice of motion, and maybe there'll be more information there, and then we can make a vote. It goes through or not. So 8.3 is requested by the mayor trying to discuss the future of grant writing, i.e. with the district or external. Again, Mayor Bertrand's not here. I know I've seen a report from the chamber in regards to some of the grants they've written. I'm not sure what council wants to do, but my thoughts was maybe hold this off until Mayor Bertrand could be here and give us some of the insights of what he was thinking. And I know he has met with the chamber, is my understanding, and have had, I'm not sure if they discussed the grants or not, but I believe he's had a meeting or two meetings with the chamber. I'm not sure what council wants to do there. Councilor Kirby?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I would say that we could probably defer this because, like we say, we don't know what the intent was there. I think it's nice to get the report to see what grants have been put together. You kind of get an idea of what's happening with the chamber. So that part is good information. I did meet with Mr. Wall today just to see when the fee for service was, when that was first put forward and when that expires. So maybe that's what Mayor Bertrand was thinking, but I would defer, I think.
So, council good with that? Just move that to Mr. Bertrand. Okay, 8.4, economic justification, requested by Mayor Bertrand to discuss district-owned industry as a source of revenue. So, again, I don't have any insight. I did talk to Mr. Wall. He doesn't really have a whole bunch of information, my understanding there. I did talk to Mayor Bertrand a couple days ago. He asked me if there's anything on the agenda, and I just kind of let it be. I just think he's got to be somewhere else, and I think this is something that we should just wait till he's here. And that's my belief, anyways. Council agrees to that. So let's move that to when Mayor Bertrand can be in attendance. Okay. So number 9, questions and answer period. Press have any questions?
Wasn't a lot actually discussed here. Yeah.
Gallery? Okay. So 10 for adjournment. I'll take a recommendation. Councilor Kirby.
Recommendation to adjourn?
Seconder. Councilor Merjinski, all in favor?
Thanks. Sure.